to Life on Earth. Welcome to Life on Earth. That's right. It's Life on Earth with the awesome possum.
Awesome possum. It says the world is full of possibilities.
And
Gotta get out. Gotta talk about that.
Got to talk about that. That's what it's all about. Welcome to Life on Earth, you good people. Life on Earth, a show about life on Earth. Real quick for the first timers, this is a showroom discussion event about life on Earth in talking to the 1976 graduates of West Point Military Academy. Ayn Rand stated in her talk, Philosophy, Who Needs It? In regard to her philosophy, formally I call it objectivism, but informally I call it a philosophy for living on Earth.
Yay.
Unquote. Now, if this is so, if objectivism is a philosophy for living on Earth, as Apollo Zeus knows, he is in the chat. Hey there,
Yes.
Join us in the chat on YouTube. Then it stands to reason that other things being equal, we'll cover that little bit too, other things being equal, objectivists should be the most successful, the most benevolent, the most positive, gracious, cheerful, optimistic, happy people on Earth.
And frolicking too.
And frolicking. That's right. Bring on the frolicking. Well, I could use a little frolicking. I'm working to keep my energy level up. I know in theory, I have direct control over my energy level using free will and that ability to focus on the state of my body that gives me the energy, on and on and on. But here's the thing. I've been fasting.
Yes, Robert has not eaten any food.
I have not partaken of solid matter since Monday? No, Tuesday.
Tuesday night.
In Ayn Rand's book, The Fountainhead, if y'all haven't read The Fountainhead,
Oh, you must.
I would almost say do it now, but wait 45 minutes and then go do it, or maybe after our clubhouse show. Get the hints. In Ayn Rand's The Fountainhead, there's a character who in his youth was called Stretch Wynand.
It's not a superpower movie.
I love the passages in the book talking about Gail Wynand's youth. Quoting from the book, Gail did not look like his mother or father. He was a throwback to something no one could quite figure out. The distance had to be reckoned not in generations, but in centuries. He was always too tall for his age and too thin. The boys called him Stretch Wynand. Nobody knew what he used for muscles, and they knew only that he used it. Unquote. Now, Ayn Rand is sometimes criticized for her character names and for their physical appearances, as though all of the heroes are tall, slender, and good looking and have great names. Her character names and physiques are clearly chosen by intention, and Stretch Wynand is no exception. But I gotta say, this has to be said, her heroes and villains, they're not simplistically attractive or ugly. Peter Keating is a handsome man, and so is James Taggart, despite the fact that he refuses to stand up straight. And he's got that slouch.
And he's got that forehead, and he's like, don't bother me, don't bother me, don't bother me.
But he's given the appearance of an aristocrat who has no idea what to do with it.
He could be. He has the line. I think she said, James Taggart had the lines of an aristocrat, except, he chose to slouch and, look surly all the time and just be negative and complain about the weather.
And think about that name, James Taggart. It's a great name.
Yeah.
Not all of her villains are named Ellsworth Toohey or Wesley Mouch, who a surprising number of people pronounce Mooch, even though it's not spelled that way. I think that was the intention of the name. So I can't blame anybody for getting it wrong, but I like Stretch Wynand. Probably not as much as my mother, who always thought that he got short shrift in the book. My mom always said, Gail Wynand didn't get treated right in that book. I get where she's coming from, even though I don't agree, but I like Stretch Wynand, the kid. Whatever his eventual failure, he was born to greatness, not in a deterministic way, but by virtue of his determination to overcome the circumstances of his childhood. And among other things, the story of Stretch Wynand reminds me to overcome my limitations, to stretch. So right now I'm fasting.
You have not eaten food since Tuesday night.
That's true.
Yes.
If I don't eat today, it'll be 2 days. I could count the hours and it would already be 48 hours. But anyway, I agree with Richard Bach, that really woo author, the guy who wrote Jonathan Livingston Seagull.
Yep.
Richard Bach writes, argue for your limitations and they're yours.
Oh, they're all mine, all my limitations.
Yes.
Well, Clint Eastwood did say a man's got to know his limitations.
Man's got to know his limitations.
But that's a little bit of a different context.
But I'm here to say, despite that the vast majority of my limitations, the vast majority of your limitations are self-imposed. I am not the first person to make that observation. I can't quote it because everybody said it. And everybody in the self-improvement, self-help communities, coaching communities, and I'm sure most of you know that, at least in theory. But fasting, just stop eating for a couple of days, provides me with a visceral, compelling reminder that I am capable of far more than I realize in the moment.
You really do have free will.
You really do have free will.
I wonder if Sam Harris ever tried to fast. I wonder if he did. He's like,
I don't know. He seems pretty determined to me.
He's like, my nature and my nurture.
So folks who've seen this show before
impressed upon
know
me
that
fast.
I always show up with a cup of coffee. So here you go to you. This is extra weak coffee. Actually, there's no coffee. It's just hot water.
Yeah, in solidarity, this is cold water.
If anybody ever tries fasting, one of the things you can do is you can drink your water hot. It's almost like drinking really, really weak tea, like infinitely weak tea. But obviously, I'm not here to recommend fasting. I'm not a doctor, even though I play one on TV. Fasting gives me another ½ inch. It's a reminder. If I ask you to stand at the wall, go stand by the wall and reach up as high as you can and put your fingertips on the wall so you can see how high you can reach. And I mean, really push it. Really stretch as high as you are capable of going. Everything you've got in you, touch the wall, mark that spot and feel that stretch. Feel what you're capable of. Feel that you went all the way up there. And then if I push you, if I cheer you, if I demand, give me another ½ inch, I bet there's not a one of you out there that couldn't do it.
You mean like this?
Like really give it to me. More than you thought you could.
Come on, awesome possum, stretch.
Awesome possum could do it.
And that. Oh my gosh, good job.
It's the great thing about a coach is that when you think you've given it your all, a coach can pull that out of you. But you can do that for yourself. If you're in that habit of stretch goals, of doing the wall exercise, even of saying, I'm reaching as high as I can, and then saying, damn it, I'm going to get another ½ inch out of myself. Physically stretching reminds us that in any given moment, we can change our state. We can interrupt our patterns. We can leave our comfort zone, which sounds bad, but a comfort zone, the great thing about comfort zones is that they're always there when you want to come back to them. So leaving them is a good thing. One of the great things about a morning stretch that I recommend.
Which we did today, actually.
We did, but do this. When you wake up in the morning, stretch and treat it as a diagnostic. I love the diagnostic power of a stretch. A good stretch can tell you things. It can tell you that you are ready and able to seize the day. Or depending on what you feel in that moment, it can tell you, I'm not ready to seize the day. I need 10 more minutes of sleep. Or it can tell you, I'm not awake yet. I need to wake up again. Which is why the title of my first book, when I finally finish writing it, will be called Wake Up Twice.
Yeah, don't let anybody use that because Robert's using it.
Don't use it. Oh man, I shouldn't put that idea out there. But try this exercise. Wake up in the morning and then ask yourself, if I woke up again, if I could raise my level of consciousness as much right now as I did when I opened my eyes and woke up. Well, that sounds silly. How can you do that? You would be surprised. You've got more in you, more focus, eyes a little bit wider, back a little bit straighter, shoulders back. We'll do that exercise another time. Point is, it turns out this works all day. So I heartily encourage you, yes, you know who I'm talking to, including Marius and Apollo Zeus and Jean, who are in the chat. I've got to read the chat. I'm not keeping up here. I get Amy talking, then I'll have time to read the chat.
Yeah, I'm ready to talk anytime. So is
Good.
Opossum.
Well, I'm gonna pause and I'm gonna read the chat, and you have the awesome possum. Go ahead with you. The possum is on your head.
Yeah,
What are
Opossum's
you
on my
doing?
head. He just went up there. He's just
He's
climbed up
observant.
there, and
He's being objective. He's getting an objective view.
yeah, he's getting a really large, big abstract view of things, and making sure he sees the big picture, because that's what we need to do. So, speaking of stretching, we got up this morning at 7:30 a.m. Me and some of my friends, you know who you are in the chat.
Oh man, talk about stretching.
And so every day I put together a wonderful, usually somewhat customized workout session for me and my friends, me and my closest buds. And we go on Zoom, and I have a group on Facebook called Couch to Standing Workout Friends. And you can join that if you look that up. Just friend me and just type in Couch to Standing Workout, and you'll find it. Now I call it Couch to Standing because I start on the floor, which can, you can kind of pretend that it's the couch, and then eventually we get up and then we come back down on the couch. And the whole concept here is that, you were talking about stretching as a diagnostic. Well, it is, and so is my workout. And it's about listening to your body, understanding what's going on, checking in with yourself, stretching, making sure you're okay, not injuring yourself. To take a line from Leonard Peikoff, no pain, no pain. That's the philosophy he talked about, I think on the Leonard Peikoff show one time, about exercising. There's no reason to injure yourself or to get to the point where you can't walk.
I know Andy picked that up, Dr. Bernstein.
Oh,
he was also a big fan of no pain, no pain.
Although I do remember him exercising.
He did.
He did.
He took on a little pain to get some gain, but
yeah.
But he would joke that no, he was not into the pain.
So 5 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern time, and Tuesday and Thursday, 7:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We do this on Zoom for half an hour, and it's a lot of fun. And I love it because I get to self-diagnostic. I diagnose how I'm feeling for the day, and it gives me a lot of information, and it tells me if I need to drink more water. It tells me all sorts of things, and whether or not I've overdone it from yesterday, whether or not I slept well. It's wonderful, and it also allows me to sleep well. Yeah, so yes. Couch to Standing Workout, if anyone is interested, go there, and men are welcome as well. Oh, one other thing is that I keep everyone's privacy by, I can only see myself, and everybody else is really tiny, small thumbnails, which I cannot see. So if you do go on, your privacy is secured. If you don't want me or anyone else to see you, you can also turn off your camera.
Yeah, a lot of folks just don't show their video.
Yeah.
But some folks do. It's optional. It's all casual.
It's all very good. And one other thing is that, I encourage people not to follow exactly what I'm doing. If what I'm doing is too difficult or not quite, in their, well, if they're limited in that way at that time, then they don't have to do what I'm doing. They can do completely, something completely different than me. And I don't know it, but they do. And it's all about listening to your body and how you're doing, because exercising and working out is something I think everyone should do every day of their lives. And it's so beneficial.
Yes, good stuff. And we've had some people who've really stretched. Amy's been doing this for over a year. It's amazing. 5 days a week, that's a commitment. Couch to Standing sounds like the most casual possible exercise program in the world. And in some ways it is. In some ways, it's amazing what has been achieved through this. I participate in most of these as well. I've got to go to the chat because Paulo Zeus mentions I did a 3-day fast a couple of times in the last couple of years. It was hell. Parts of doing a 3-day fast are hell. There's that part at the beginning, partway through the first day, where you're like, I can't do this. What am I doing? I can't do this. And by the end of the day, it eases up a little. Second day is a lot easier. And then the third day is hell again. And then the fourth day is easier if you go to 5 days, which I've done. And then the fifth day you start thinking, okay, I can feel my body telling me, you need to eat something. And that's when I start eating again. But you're right. Parts of it are hell. And that's the whole point, is to remind yourself, oh yeah, I can go through hell. I'm going to go through hell. Things are going to happen. Life is going to be hard. I can handle that. I can prove to it by putting myself through it. Well, why would you put yourself through it? Well, we'll get to that. So I heartily encourage. Oh, also Mary Aline mentioned that Kiki Holcomb in the Fountainhead. I have to mention, read this.
Yeah.
Kiki Holcomb was quite surprised that Dominique thought Rourke was handsome. Kiki thought Rourke was not handsome, but extremely masculine looking. And then she says different views of masculinity. So I'm curious if anybody has any examples you can think of from, for example, movie stars or famous people who you would regard as very handsome, or excuse me, very masculine, but not very handsome. There are a few I can think of, but I'd be curious what comes to mind.
Humphrey Bogart.
Bogart was masculine, but not handsome.
Yeah, not particularly handsome. Oh, by the way, Apollo, I am not only am I balancing a stuffed toy in my head, and that breaks all the records, but I can also drink and talk at the same time.
Yeah, well, Gene points out opossums are great climbers, so he might be handling that on his own. Oh, let's see. There were a couple others here. Mary Aline, incidentally, has contributed to the super chat, not once, but twice. So we do have to take a moment to say, super chats during this show go to support our I was going to say patriarchs. That's the wrong word. I've got patriarchy on my mind, and Mary Aline is the matriarch of Ayn Rand Center UK. No, our hosts, the Ayn Rand Center UK. All of your super chats go to support the Ayn Rand Center UK. If you want to support the center, put in a super chat. If you want to be part of the Ayn Rand Center UK, like we are, be members like we are. All you have to do is go to AynRandCenter.co.uk, center RE at the end. The link will be in the chat. AynRandCenter.co.uk. You sign up for a membership, and it's only 10 a month.
Yeah.
Well, it's 10 pounds. So, given the exchange rate,
yeah, it's just a little extra.
It's $1 or $2 more than 10 pounds if you're here in the States. Totally worth it. You get access to Don Watkins Communication Boot Camp, which wrapped up just before our show. I swear I got to get him to reschedule that, because that one feeds your brain. Man,
are those recorded?
Yeah, they are.
Oh, good.
But if you're not a member of the Ayn Rand Center, then you wouldn't have access to them.
Right.
So become a member, go to the link, sign up, do that thing, and give us some more super chat, because all that money goes to them. It doesn't come to us, but it's gratifying as heck to see it in our chat. Do appreciate that anyway. Very much appreciated.
And Mary Aline's trying to make me laugh and have opossum fall off my head. She says, because she is a wonderful participant in the couch standing workout. She says, I turned my camera off so Amy can't see that I'm really eating chocolate and reading a novel. But awesome possum still on my head.
That's right. That's right. Outstanding. So I heartily, as opposed to hardly, I heartily encourage you to change things up. I like fasting or riding a bicycle to someplace where I don't know where I'm going. I've never been there before. That's a great way. Take yourself out of your comfort zone. That riding a bicycle at this time of year, I should explain, we're in Motown, where it's 15 degrees out there and ice and snow on the ground. Riding a bicycle during this time of year, I guess that's my version of the Polar Bear Club. I always thought I should join the Polar Bear Club. These folks who go find an ice-covered lake and break a hole in the lake and then jump in the water. Some of them do it skinny dipping. I like that idea.
I might do it.
Well, what it does is it takes you to something where you're thinking, I can't do that, or it would be foolish to do that.
Right.
And what you do is you will yourself to do it, and it changes your state. It interrupts your patterns.
We have done something very similar.
What did we do?
Up north in August, over, so you got the little bunny, up above the lower peninsula of Michigan. This is what it looks like. And so we were up here somewhere, right, in the UP, and here's Lake Superior. And Lake Superior usually never gets warmed up. So, but we were there in late August, and we decided to go in.
Oh, you would think August, middle of summer, and it's still only in the 40 degrees.
It was really cold.
Crazy.
But it was so beautiful. Honestly, it's so beautiful.
And the amazing thing is you get used to it more or less.
You do.
After 15 minutes, you're like, okay, it's still crazy cold, but I'm used to it.
Oh, we were also in that Cold Spring area
Yeah, Cold Springs.
in the
Not
the
Cold
UP.
Springs, but Cold Springs.
Yeah, it was a cold river,
Yes.
very cold river. It's the coldest river.
Yeah, rivers fed by springs up north are crazy. So that, that's my version of extreme sports. I'm not
Yeah.
going to go climb a mountain. Maybe I will go climb a mountain like John Ridpath did. But again, anything to take you out of your comfort zone. Read a book or see a film that you haven't learned much about ahead of time. If you can get a friend to recommend you one of their favorite films, but without telling you about it, anything to get you out of your comfort. We had fallen into our comfort zone over the holidays, which is why
It's
this
great.
topic came up for me.
It was wonderful.
Oh man, I lost 25 pounds last year. And then I gained 5 back since Christmas. It's crazy. What the heck? It has been so comfortable. It's cold as heck. Well, you just stay in, you crank up the heat, you watch your favorite television programs at night. So we were watching the Canadian show Murdoch Mysteries.
Mhm.
And it's
good stuff.
2021, so 2022, excuse me. So everybody's familiar with binge watching. We were binge watching Murdoch Mysteries at night.
It is great, eh?
We would watch it over dinner.
It's
And then after dinner, well, maybe we can do another one. Maybe we can do another one after that.
it's about solving mysteries.
It's about solving mystery. But it got to where we were watching this almost every night, unless we had plans to go out, which, during this time of year, once or twice a week, every other night we're watching.
I know it's great.
And I don't know, it's 11:30. Do you think we should watch another one? Yeah, we could do another one.
It was wonderful. I mean, only I didn't get myself sick, like I ate some junk food and things like that, but I relaxed way too much, but it didn't get to the point where I got ill from it.
Well, we
Which
got
can
comfortable.
happen.
We were since
So
Christmas,
great.
we have been in our comfort zone.
But yeah,
So
it's good to get out of it.
this week, all that changes. I talked about pattern interrupts. I've talked about changing your state. I've talked about New Year's resolutions. Time to stop talking, do the thing. And that's what I'm encouraging to all of you. So we swore off the evening television. We're not
Yes.
watching television. Man, was
Monday
that weird the
through
last few
Friday.
nights.
Oh, this is
That
okay.
was so
Tomorrow is
strange.
Friday. Tonight's Thursday. So it's going to be 3 nights we haven't watched television in the evening. It is great. I mean, it was really, really, really painful.
But it's so weird. We're not
but now we're
really
okay.
television people, but we've gotten in that habit.
Yeah.
Again, it's time to get out of the holiday comfort zone. Today is January 6th. We're not going to talk about anything else that makes January 6th in the news today. All we're going to say is January 6th is the right day to get out of your comfort zone and to stretch. When you get used to questioning your reach, your capabilities, when you get used to interrupting your patterns and changing your state, when you're willing to get uncomfortable, sit up a little straighter, be a little bigger, be a little bit bolder, do things a little bit faster, think a little bit harder. When you make change and stretching a lifestyle, then it's easier to make that career change or buy that house or commit to that relationship or just be the man or the woman you want to be. Get used to making those pattern interrupts, those state changes, those stretches.
I feel like I'm in a dunk tank where people are throwing balls at the target to try to, throw me into the water.
The people, in the chat, they're trying to get the possum off your head, aren't they? That's great.
You're trying to make me laugh so hard. The possum's still up. It's still here, as you can see. This is not what do you call it?
Not what? Velcro to your head.
It's not Velcro to
Double
my-
stick tape or
It's also not, where they have an editing in
oh yeah, we didn't
filming
do
where
this
they-
in post. This is a
This
live
is-
show.
this is not, what do you call it? Deep fake or
Deep
something?
fakes.
It's not
Amy's deep
fake.
fakes. She's deep faked with a possum on her head. So I'm a member of a number of groups, as we all are online, and some of these groups are positivity groups, gratitude groups, coaching groups, life skills groups. And what I want to know is I got to put down my coffee, which is actually water, to put up the air quotes. Why is the secret still a thing? Why is this still a thing?
You get a Trans Am. You get a Trans Am. Or
Yeah, well,
Grand
thank
Am
you,
or-
Oprah. And one reason, best I can tell, is that in the best cases, developing a focus and fixation on a goal, on a passion, makes people yearn and it makes people stretch. It leads to action.
Mhm.
It's not mystical, it's not woo, or at least it shouldn't be. Henry David Thoreau, who philosophically I have some issues with.
Sure, yeah.
But Henry David Thoreau did say, if one advances confidently in the direction of his dreams and endeavors to live the life which he has imagined, he will meet with a success unexpected in the common hours. Aristotle said that our character is a function of our habits. We are what we habitually do. Thoreau was a little prettier, a little more poetic. He said, there are in each the seeds of a heroic ardor, which need only be stirred in with the soul where they lie. And finally, I don't want to feel as if my life were a sojourn any longer. It is time now that I begin to live.
And did he?
And he did.
Oh,
and
good.
that line was stolen in the television series The Newsroom, when the lead character declares, when he finally gives up on being a lousy newscaster, and he's going to start telling the truth and being more forward and more honest. And his big line, which sounds really great unless you've already heard it from Thoreau, was, I've decided to live my life as if I'm alive. Okay.
Yeah.
I liked that the
Yeah.
first time I heard it. And then I'm like, oh yeah, but that's kind of just a modern version of, Henry David Thoreau. I went to the woods because I wished to live deliberately, to front only the essential facts of life and see if I could not learn what it had to teach, and not, when I came to die, discover that I had not lived. I don't know, I guess it's shorter to say, I've decided to live my life as if I'm alive.
But I bet there are other places than the woods to go learn how to live.
The woods will teach you things. The woods will take you out of your comfort zone, unless you've only ever lived in the woods. Then the city will take you out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
Why do we laugh at these woo expressions like, you are enough?
I am enough.
I am enough.
Here I am. Enough.
It seems silly that these phrases give us permission to be who we are, a sanction, an acceptance, a reminder that our lives are an end in themselves. Well, all that's true. And no one out there has more of a right to exist than you do. To the philosophically astute, these notions of permission, self-acceptance, self-worth, they may seem superfluous. We get all that. But I am enough, if it has substance, if it means anything, it's also a reminder to myself that I am able. I am strong. I have power, more power than I realize. You have more power than you realize.
This power I have.
You have resources which, if you were willing to call on them, could catapult you that extra half inch, another half mile, halfway to everything you want. You have resources far beyond those that you give credit for. Now, some of us won't capitalize on those resources. Some of us don't want to be a burden on our friends, our family, our peers, our colleagues, our coworkers. But you have the ability and you have the resources to do more, to be more, if that's what you want. More than you give credit for. Why do we stretch? Seize the day. It came up recently. What's the difference between reasonable, which you hear me say a lot, the word reasonable, and rational?
Yeah, there's a bit of a difference, bit of a flavor difference there.
Yeah.
Oh, Carolina, thank you so very much. She sends good tidings in a super chat. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. Thank you. Now, for me, the difference between reasonable and rational is that reasonable is narrow, more immediate, Rational is full context. So fasting, well, the criticisms of fasting claims that fasting is unhealthy. Self-sacrificial, you're giving up those meals, you're giving up on pleasure, you're being a stoic. Self-destructive, it's going to affect your metabolism, it's going to affect your health. These criticisms are all reasonable, but they're not rational. Same is true with paleo diets or TTF, train to fail, or super slow workouts. Oh, those are self-destructive because of this, because of that, because of these 5 things that I heard my diet. They're all good things, but the criticisms drop context. When somebody tries to tell you what's reasonable, but what they're really doing is imposing limitations on you, ask yourself, well, but in the broader context, what am I trying to achieve by changing up my diet? By fasting a couple times a year, by bike riding in 15-degree weather and on ice.
Yeah, go ahead. But this applies to
Yes.
the couch to standing workout as
Yes.
well. When I tell people, go at your own pace, listen to your body, understand what's going on with you, and don't just follow what I'm doing. So in other words, look at the big picture, be rational, think in terms of principles. What are you trying to get out of this? What are you trying to do? You're not necessarily trying to go as deep of a squat that I'm doing, but you are trying to engage your quadriceps and your hamstrings and your glutes. And so if you think in terms of principles, that's what you do. And that's my approach in the couch standing workout. So yes.
See, when I fast or when I stretch, when I ride, it reminds me that I can change, I can choose, I can do things that in the moment seem unlikely or even impossible. I can do more than I realize. I can live. And so can you. So stretch. Now, to those of you who are answering back, Robert, I get all that. I'm already stretched as far as I can. I'm 100%. I never got comfortable over the holidays. I ain't sitting in my comfort zone. In that case, I want you to stretch too. I want you to stretch your arm behind you, pat yourself on the back, and make sure you're feeling all the pride that you should feel from knowing these guys ain't got nothing to say to me. But for the rest of you who need a reminder like I did this week that, oh man, the holidays were great. I had an amazing Christmas, but if I'm going to make 2022 amazing, I got to get back up. I got to get out of my comfort zone. I've got to stretch. I've got to get back on the bike. I've got to get back on the scale, get back on the weights, get back on all of the things that I need to be, I was about to say the best me I can. Do we have a better expression?
Enough
that to be enough. Something in object. I'm sure there are better words out there. I'm just caught up in the hooey, but I need that reminder. If you need it too, thank you for listening. If you didn't need it, but you found it even mildly amusing to see Amy with a possum on her head for half an hour.
And yeah, this is an opossum, and it is Irish. Apollo asked that great question. And
what's the difference between a possum and an opossum? The opossum is Irish.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. How have I never heard that before? Did you just make that up?
No. Well, I knew it because
hilarious.
Because as a matter of fact, my so this is an Irish possum, and his name.
It does say opossum on it, doesn't it?
No, actually, it doesn't say opossum.
Oh, it says possum. Oh, because imagine the possibilities.
Possibilities, but that's okay because his name is Charlie Opossum.
Oh, his name is Charlie Opossum.
Yeah.
And you named him?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, good. I'm just glad he didn't come with that name.
Oh, no. His name is Charlie Opossum for sure.
Yeah, I would hate to admit, since I'm the one who bought him for you, I would hate to have missed that bit of information, but I'm glad you named him. That makes it about 1,000 times more charming.
I love this chat, by the way. You guys are funny. I just love it.
Yeah, except I should be doing the show wrap. I should be putting a ribbon around this and then tying a nice bow.
Can I talk about my goals or
yes,
my techniques for achieving a better life this month?
So what have you got in mind as far as stretching?
So basically, I have to kind of give myself structure in order to stretch.
Okay.
So, I invite my friends to Zoom and they are there for me so that I work out and I'm accountable then. And
Yes.
that's actually really worked. That's one example. Another example is I'm a night owl and I love to
Stay up late.
stay up forever. And I tell myself, I get real James Taggart about sleep. And I'm like, grumbly. I hate sleep. Why do I have to sleep? I want to be up all the time. And anyway.
Oh no.
Oh, I've always been that way. And then I end up falling asleep on the couch. Well, that's bad for a lot of reasons. So on the calendar, we got a calendar back there in our other part of the studio, and there are stickers, like heart stickers, like next to it, ready to just peel off a heart sticker and put it on the calendar. So every night I go to bed at a reasonable time and I get at least 7 hours of sleep, give myself a little heart sticker. And I'm very proud to say all this month so far, all this year so far, I should say, all year long,
Wow.
I have not slept on the couch and I have gone to bed at a reasonable time. And so
you have not missed the goal once this year.
Yeah.
5 days.
All year long.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's also a perfect record.
Also, I've been really very much more conscientious about working from home because that's what I do. And that's not originally what my job was. I used to go into an office and I used to see people and we used to talk and it was fun. It was fun. And you could bring in birthday cakes for people's birthdays. It was so great. But now we're all working from home and I feel like I need delineation. I need structure. So yeah, sometimes you just need to set structure. So I've got noontime on my phone every day to go off for an alarm. So I can tell myself, this is when I take a break. This is when I take a lunch because I have to, because all of last year I didn't do it. I just worked through lunch and I drove myself kind of batty and I didn't work as well. And I fostered a kind of a not the happiest attitude doing it. And so, yeah, so at this point, I've set not just goals for myself, but structure. And I think that's how I do it. I think everybody's a little different, but that's how I do it.
Excellent. I missed some of the chat here because Marius, for example, said, isn't that like slapping yourself in the face to prove it hurts less than you think? You would be surprised how many things you can do that would seem like they are, whoops, it seemed like they are musical. No, it seemed like they are self-destructive that exactly are done to test your tolerances. There are times you need to do that. And absolutely, there's such good stuff in here.
Yeah, there's a challenge that I have. I put
and I did see where Apollo Zeus actually brought up that the opossum was an Irish possum.
Yes,
that's great.
That's awesome.
And Marius was raised on Franco-American pasta. I will still every now and then I will grab a can of ravioli, beef ravioli.
I think that beef ravioli.
It's yeah, but it takes you back.
And I think let us know, Apollo, if you still have Gangsta Paddington up on your head, balancing on your head, and how that's going. Keep us informed. I want to know. Yeah. Okay,
so before we get too woo, because Mary Aline says Brene Brown annoys me. Brene Brown annoys me too, and she's exactly the kind of person I should like, but oh my God, she's so freaking woo. And I know she says some good things, but she still annoys me. Mary Aline, I am right there with you. I subscribed to her podcast, and after 2 or 3 episodes, I had to unsubscribe.
I couldn't quite do it.
She really is one of those people who should be saying the right things, and she just isn't. So we're going to have to work on that here. We're going to have to cover those bases. We're going to have to get into the Brene Brown space. It's bad enough that she has a name that I've stumbled over. My sister's name is Renee. So when I see Brene, like, what the hell?
Brene Brule.
Yeah. So
Brown.
Again, when you get used to questioning your reach and your capabilities, when you get used to interrupting your patterns and changing your, and we're going to talk about all of this. Some of these are ideas I stole from Zig Ziglar and Tony Robbins and the coaching community. You can change your state in any given moment. You can always achieve a little bit more than you realize you can. When you realize you can do that, it gets easier to do the bigger things. It gets easier to commit to that new job, to buy that new house, to buy that new car, to commit to that relationship, to be the person that you want to be. The reason that we talk about these things is because we apply these things. And again, it reminds us, I can do this. I can stretch. I can live.
Yes.
And so can you.
Yeah, I know on our 5 Minutes with Robert Nasir show last Sunday, by the way, every Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern time, me and Robert get together and we get on the interwebs just like this, except that we're also simultaneously broadcasting on YouTube and Facebook, because that's how we roll. And so anyway, we're talking about that with, I think, our friend Jim, and we were talking about how to integrate your values and your time, and how to manage your time in the context of your priorities and your values, and specifically your values. And anyway, it was a good conversation.
Aria says, I need y'all to remind me to check the breakers at Lake Lorraine. I'll be there in about an hour and 15. So if we could just keep the show going until then, you might have to catch us on Clubhouse.
Oh, and Apollo says that his neck is hurting. Now, if you need to put Gangsta Paddington down off of your head, you're certainly welcome to.
His neck might be hurting just in empathy to watching you hold Awesome Possum there on your neck, Charlie Opossum.
When I want to use it, I have pretty good posture, as a matter of fact. So this isn't bad at all.
I'll have to work on that. Here I'm talking about changing your state, and my
Yes.
posture is not as good as yours.
And Maria says for almost 5 whole minutes. Yeah,
That's right.
So 5 minutes with Robert Nasir lasts longer than 5 minutes. I should warn you. You times that by about 10, and that's what the show is.
It's it's always been a little longer than 5 minutes.
Our show goes to 11, so you just multiply that by 5.
And finally, Marilyn says, who the hell names their kid Brene?
I don't know.
Apparently it sounded like I started to say that.
I would say, if I were named that, I would want people to call me Breen. If anybody out there knows what I'm talking about, please tell me, and I'll love you for it forever.
Yes.
The Breen from DS9.
So now it's time for the afterworld, because
the afterworld,
as the philosopher Prince said, dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to get through this thing called life.
Something
about life. How's it going?
Music controls only work with Bluetooth audio.
Oh, thank you very much.
What the heck? Yeah. Electric word, life, it means forever, and that's a mighty long time. But I'm here to tell you, there's something else. The after show.
Afterworld.
We got an after show on Clubhouse. So if I haven't made my point, stretch, get out there, do a little more, get out of your comfort zone, try a little bit harder. You've got more in you than you realize. Most of our limitations are self-imposed. Don't let that happen to you. And join us in Clubhouse. We'll talk to you in a minute. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, guys.